So welcome to this. Oh, here we go. Here's somebody else. Welcome to the program, and Becky, I'll let you take it away.
Great. Welcome. Hi, Eli. Holly, are you with us?
I am.
Great. Okay. Welcome back, folks. Glad you could be here. We are following up on last night's talk, which Marion, unfortunately, you couldn't get into the meeting, but it is recorded, so you can watch that. And I suggested that was a visual pep talk. Did any of you feel more peppy after pep talk?
Yeah.
Kathy, yes. Did any of you feel encouraged to lean into your art practice to cope with the conditions we're dealing with? Eli, yes? Good. Do you want to speak to that, Eli?
Well, especially with blue sky finally a little bit today.
It's true.
Go and talk to the grass.
Oh, beautiful.
Collecting the gems.
That's right. Yeah, go and talk to the grass. Exactly. That's what we're up to here.
And I'm since with your photography class that we just wrapped up, my dog walks take longer because I've got my iPhone for all So anyway,
Good. Photographers are terrible to travel with because we walk a few steps and we're marveling at the next thing. We're so slow, terribly slow. So, okay, what I'm hoping that we can do today and Saturday is test out the hypothesis that I was offering up. Does anyone feel that they could paraphrase the hypothesis that I offered up last night?
Come on, guys.
Come on.
I want to know.
What hypothesis are we testing here?
Paraphrase. Well, the invitation to use art to continue inspiring ourselves and others and find ways of being resilient through art and looking for the beauty in the world and ways of sharing it.
Okay, Leslie got on.
Welcome, Leslie. Yes, that's exactly right, Eli. That's spot on. Yeah, my hypothesis that I was suggesting in the talk last night is that art is a method. It's a pathway. Like science is a method for knowing what is true and what is not true. Art is a method for tapping into our own renewable resilience and for passing that along to others, especially during hard times. What I really want to make sure I drive home, which perhaps I didn't drive home last night, is that art is not about making pretty pictures. It's about flexing the muscle of resilience and the process, therefore, being arguably more valuable than the outcome. So, on that note,
Can I just say a word that stuck with me?
Yes.
Was play.
Yeah, great. That's what we're going to do now. So I want us to test out the hypothesis together, and I'm going to give you several opportunities to play for the next 3 days. So we're meeting tonight, and then you have tomorrow to do some play on your own based on the prompts I'm going to give you. And then Saturday we're going to meet at 2 and see what sort of artistic play you have gotten yourselves into. There is no pressure here. You don't have to do this well. You don't have to create something beautiful or amazing. You just have to have fun. Normally at this time of year, we're at Women's Wellness Weekend, which is at the Lair of the Bear, hosted by the Cal Alumni Association, and we are playing. We are letting our guard down. And how many people have been to the Lair here? Okay, so if you haven't been there, that's fine. What you can think about instead is, how do you normally play in the summer at this time of year, right? And what is the equivalent for you of the Lair of the Bear, which for us is a place of rest, play, connection, downtime, and we're going to do all of that, but virtually, and we're going to adapt that and test out this hypothesis. What we're going to see, is it true that art is a pathway to resilience? You're going to find out and show me. So let's introduce ourselves before we look at the games that we're going to be playing together. And let's introduce ourselves just by saying our names and our 1 or 2 art forms that we do. and a memory that is beloved of the Lair, or if you haven't been to the Lair, of some summer freedom. Would anyone like to start us off? And if not, I can start us off here. My name is Becky Jaffe. I love photography with a burning passion, but I am also dabbling in other art forms like crochet and watercolor and etching and a little bit of like food color paintings. I know that's odd. I don't care. And a beloved memory from the Lair is watching the osprey. I love to watch the osprey every year when I go out kayaking. And I remember a couple years ago, I was at the Lair in the kayak, and I was like sort of praying, wishing, hoping that this osprey who had caught a fish would fly low over my kayak and I could see it from below. And it did that very thing.
Oh, of course.
And I remember it like viscerally. You know, it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. So that's a cherished memory from the Lair. So that's who I am. Who would like to introduce themselves next? Welcome, Laura.
Sure, I'll go next.
Great.
I'm Nancy Rubin, and a favorite memory was actually last summer where I went to the lake at night for, I believe, the very first time and saw the night sky, all the stars, just, it was incredible. And I love photography, and I'm learning some new apps. So I don't have any other art form that I'm used to do embroidery back in the 60s.
Fabulous. And you're how I'm connected to the Lair. So thank you, Nancy. We're going to see a few of your photos in the upcoming presentation. So yes, Leslie, welcome. If you unmute your mic, we can hear you.
Get used to this by now. Hi, Leslie.
Welcome.
I'm, in my hippie days, well, kind of hippie days, I used to do, I had a loom and I used to weave and I used to do pottery, but I have settled on sketching and oil painting. Ooh. And favorite summers, well, I'm right here up in Sea Ranch right now. I live in Berkeley, but I escaped to Sea Ranch, and I saw both the ospreys bringing fish overhead today. And yes, 2 nights ago, I saw the stars that were so brilliant, I almost fell over.
That's what we're after. Stars so brilliant, you have to fall over. Great. Welcome, Leslie. Glad you could be here.
Me too.
Who would like to go next?
Oh, I'll do it. I'm Cindy, and I know Becky from the UC Botanical Garden. We're both docents. And as far as art, I've sort of dabbled in watercolor and pastel. Oh. But I think my absolute favorite is clayboard, because what I've found is, you scratch into the clayboard, and I've only used the ones that are, have black ink on the surface, so then you expose a white line. But it's a very forgiving medium, because you just need to take an ink pen and fill in any lines that you want to undo. And so somehow in the process, that's where I've really had that experience, Becky, that you've talked about feeling like some muse is working through you and creating something. And I just feel like I'm part of it, but not the creators of it. It's just an amazing experience where time almost stands still,
Yeah.
when you get so engrossed in it. So that's my experience.
You're describing the flow state.
Yes, it's very
artists and athletes get into, and it's what keeps us coming back, is the flow state.
It's very exhilarating in its way, the process.
You feel connected, you feel engrossed, you feel all parts of yourself are integrated. Yeah, wonderful. And you're not so much willful as you are allowing the art to come through you.
Exactly.
Yeah, beautiful. You are allowed to use any art form in this workshop. Clayboard, needlepoint, I don't care. Let's see it. Painting rocks, let's do it. So welcome back.
Maybe I should try that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, try something new you've never done before. Do it badly, but with spirit. Who else would like to introduce themselves?
I'll go next.
Marion.
I'm Marion, and I've been a potter since I was 21, so that's been a really long, long time. And it's been interesting because this is the first time I've not been in a class or in a studio for whatever, since March. And so I thought, how am I going to sustain myself? But it's actually been a really nice break, because a lot of times I think we get into habits. And when we get into a habit, it doesn't necessarily mean it's serving us in the way it should be. So I've been doing collage. I've been doing a lot of photography. I've been going on a lot of nature walks. And like yesterday, I was totally horribly upset about what was going on in the news. And I could not calm down.
Mm-hmm.
So I told myself, okay, Marion, just get out there and walk. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I did. And then for whatever reason, I started taking pictures of zinnias, whatever colors I could find. And then what I did with them was I really centered in on the inner part of the zinnia, and then posted on Facebook and talked about how I hoped centering on zinnia centers would help me get centered. And what I like is that I'm able to share this with these things with other people. And a lot of people said it helped them not only appreciate the beauty, but really it helped them center.
Yes.
And so I'm finding that there's purpose in a lot of these little things, like the walking, the photography, the noticing, and then whatever is really going on with me comes out through my choice of what images to use. So it's been very interesting. I've been much more connected to that artistic side from a survival standpoint.
That's what I'm talking about. It's a survival mechanism. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And a thriving mechanism. You know, when you look at the algorithms behind the social media, they prioritize strife, conflict, controversy, right? So they'll boost things that are high controversy. What you're talking about posting zinnias is anti-algorithmic in that. That's the modern version of counterculture, right? So I encourage whatever.
And then my connection to Lair of the Bear is I went to Cal, but I never went to camp.
Well, here you are. Welcome.
Yes, here I am.
We are camping in place now.
Okay.
So welcome, Marion. Glad you could be here. Who else would like to introduce themselves? Who hasn't had a chance yet? Eli.
Hey, Eli here. Photography is my main thing. A little bit of drawing as well, pencils, and some computer art. I've been into that for quite a while. And I haven't been to the Lair of the Bear, but high Sierras, going on hikes. And speaking of the slowing down, oh, look at that. Oh, wait, there's a new flower. Oh, and my friends are 20 paces ahead just for one flower. Hold on. So I have to sprint to catch up, unless it's just me. And that's me.
Beautiful. Glad to have you here, Eli. The photos you post on social media, you know, like Marion's saying, they're a ray of sunshine in my day.
Thank you.
Let's see who has not yet had a chance to introduce themselves. Holly, welcome.
Photography is my salvation. I've learned new apps. I've been playing with that, and my other art form is gardening.
I
kind of paint with. Today I went and picked up rocks, and I picked up individual rocks, you know, at this big material supply place, but I had to pick just the right rocks. And
I think you said individual rocks, didn't you?
Yes.
Some excitement about these rocks, yes.
Well, you know, they're like, I couldn't lift more than one at a time, but I'm looking forward to it. And another offshoot of photography is that I'm living in Bodega Bay right now, and I have a little critter that frequents my garden all the time, and I borrowed a wildlife camera, and I caught photos of this pretty little fox that comes through every night.
Oh my goodness.
I know. she's a healthy thing. I have to admit I've been feeding her a little bit. But even before that, she was coming through my yard and leaving me little, what do you call them? Calling cards. So just nature.
Nature.
And then photography to document it and to see it differently is really keeping me as sane as I can be.
That's right. Nature. We're going to emphasize nature in our art games we play together. Yes.
And I'm going to cover my camera because I'm eating and I hate watching people eat.
Sure thing.
I may not be able to be here on Saturday, but I will do whatever we do tonight.
Great. Okay. Laura, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Laura. I went to UCSD and I did an art degree. Then I had kids and just in life, you know? So I'm an editor. I've been doing a little bit of writing, just starting my business, and I've been pretty overwhelmed with everything going on. So I'm coping really well and not doing much creative stuff, except that everything feels really creative. Cooking, gardening, and just watching a new leaf come up on a plant. Doing a little bit of writing, and it just feels pretty creative. But I think I want to work with watercolor a little bit with this group, and unless I change my mind and do embroidery, which could happen.
Great. I hope you do a collage that includes embroidery and watercolor.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Mash up, you know. Good. Let's see. Who has not had a chance here? Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy, and I work for the Lair. So I'm very lucky that I have many, many great Lair memories with family, friends, women's wellness weekends. So many memories of, mostly I could say it's a combination of just the surroundings and the people that make the Lair such a special place for me. And I'm lucky enough that I'm going to go back up there tomorrow with my husband.
Yay.
I have not, you guys are just so blowing me away because I am not been very creative. I've appreciated creativity, watching TV shows or movies or books in that sense, but not done much creative on my own. So I look forward to participating in this project today and getting my creative juices flowing again.
Great. We'll push you down that rabbit hole, Kathy.
Good. I'm ready.
Doubling down with us.
I think you're creative in your humor.
Oh,
thank you.
That is definitely a source of creativity. We will use that. Good. Great. Okay, so we're going to play some art games together, and I'm going to give you some options for what those art games are, and I'm going to share my screen to show you those options. So let us see what art games we are up to together. Let's see here. Can you all see my screen? Okay, play from start here. Okay, good. Now here we were the other night. This was last night. Here we all are making adorable faces here. I love this view of you, Cindy. So sweet. And let's see. I gave a talk on the art of resilience, and you can see it here. Here's the link, and that has been popped into the chat box. So Marion, since you didn't get a chance to see it, and Laura, you're welcome to take a look at that talk. And normally this would be us, right? We would be gathered together, you know, around playing music, listening to skits together. This is at the UC Botanical Garden, actually, the Redwood Grove, which is open by appointment now, but this is normally how we behave at the Lair as well. And this is actually at the Lair. This is at a place called Therapy. And the reason it's called Therapy is that it does just looking at the view over the Stanislaus National Forest and being together, and the shared quietude, the shared reverence really is therapeutic. It's not like being in therapy one-on-one where you just complain about your past troubles, you know, maybe legitimately. I'm not making fun of anyone for that. That's important. But this is a different kind of therapy, which is collective and shared awe at nature, which is quite therapeutic. So a beloved place, and yet here we are. This is where we find ourselves currently, sheltering in place. And let's see how we can use our creativity to make that actually full of imagination and fun, and celebrate the things that we love about camping or being at the Lair. So you're going to email me up to 2 files by midnight tomorrow night. This is a fast little deadline here, but it could be like 3 a.m. if you're a night owl. And you're going to CC Kathy and Carol, please, so that we can take a look at 2 of your images. These could be of any medium. You guys mentioned a lot of art media just now. That could be cooking, gardening, glass blowing, you name it, finger painting. And here are the themes we will be looking at together. The first theme is to look at, we're going to make love letters to the Lair. This is your option should you choose to accept it. Now here we have from 1952, I believe. Is that correct, Nancy?
I believe so.
This is a photograph of Nancy's father. And Nancy, is this you?
No, my sister.
Your sister.
My mom.
Your mom, Kathy. Okay. So you've been going, Nancy, since to the Lair of the Bear since 1952 and have spent over a year of your life there total.
Correct.
And all, there are several of us who have many memories there that are beautiful, and we want to resurrect those memories and honor them and remember what it is that we love about that place, including, like, here's a photo of you, Nancy. I love this photo. And in fact, you started off this Zoom meeting with this pool, I think, in your background, in your virtual background. So how old are you here, Nancy?
7 or 8, I believe.
7 or 8. I love the way that normally when we photograph children, we look down on them, but somebody has clearly gotten below you and looked up at you with a certain amount of reverence, right? Which is how I believe children should be photographed. And I think what you can feel in this image is the joy of being there and the togetherness that's in it. So on
the side, we used to get splinters in our feet from the deck. And we put the popsicle sticks in between the pieces of wood, but it's no longer like that.
And that's the kind of sensory memory I want you to call to mind, whether that was at the Lair or whether that was in your summer camping experience. I want you to think about your sensory memories and how you might reconstruct those in your own life now. Here's a toast to our time spent together. I really enjoyed going up there and spending time with you, Nancy, and playing games with you. And so we have found ways of adapting that here. What I'm proposing to you is that you think about what it is that you loved about the Lair, sensory memories, or camping, or summer in general. And you incorporate that into your life now, today and tomorrow, and Saturday. So Nancy and I, we play when we go up there, and your family has a long tradition of Scrabble. So now Nancy and I found out like the equivalent of a Scrabble game on our phones that we can play together. It's called Words with Friends. And it's really fun to play with her because she has such an amazing linguistic mind and she's so playful with words. And we're finding ways to play together and have the experience that we have at the Lair, but while we're here sheltering in place. So the question for you is, how can you resurrect some of the joy that you experience at the Lair and integrate it into your current experience, whether that's playing with friends or connecting in some way, right? How can you connect with the people who are beloved to you, who you spend time with at the Lair? I'm going to give you some options for that. If what you love about the Lair is the sisterhood, this is Nancy's photo here, and this really captures the spirit of the Lair. We can do that digitally. This is a photo by Michael Dawson, who's one of my fellow photographers, one of my students in my class. He found ways to connect through the screen. He set this up and it's really rather brilliant. He had his friends hold a glass that was empty, or just with, I think it had water in it, hold it up on their side of the Zoom. And then he, on his side of the Zoom, he doesn't drink white wine, but he purchased white wine so he could photograph it with light shining through it as he poured it on this side of the screen. And he was able to break through when he made this, break through the screen and show the interconnectedness through the screen that we are trying to experience with each other. And I believe this is possible for us. So if what you love about the Lair is your connection to people, see if you can reconstruct that today and tomorrow. And here are some ways that I've tried to do that in my own life. These are photographs of time spent reading to Nico and Cody. CA is my good friend here, and these are her children. And I have taken a series of screenshots, which I have composited, of our time spent together reading. And that is something I'm then compiling into a graphic novel about this time period for them, about the pandemic time, which from their point of view, from the child's point of view, may actually end up being pretty fun. They're not burdened with the adult stressors that we are. So could you do something like that? I want to show you how you might do that. If you set up a time, for example, to have a meal, share a meal, or share some chat time with somebody that you like to connect with, you can take a screenshot of your interaction. So this is on a Mac. This is how you take a screenshot. You do Shift-Command-4. You guys want to try that out now, if you've never tried that before? You can take a screenshot and just see that, in fact, you're able to capture an image from the screen directly. And if you have a PC, this is how you do it. And you can take a screenshot of this. We can also send you this file. And if you have a mobile phone, you can also take a screenshot. And then I used Prisma, which was a new app to me, to make that image, and PhotoGrid to compile them. And I encourage you to play with all kinds of new apps you've never played with. And then these are some of the screenshots from my life, of my digital social life, my interactions with students, with my aunt being playful, one of my students teaching me how to cook. She was learning new things to cook, putting on masks just to entertain each other. Here's my student who figured out, how to digitally make toilet paper appear on her head. I don't know how she did that, but the point is just sort of clowning around with each other so that we are not as isolated as we might be, and sharing that joy. So one thing you might do, for example, because food is love, you might call someone and have them teach them how to cook their favorite meal. Food is so sensory rich, and so, so evocative of memory, that it connects us. This is a Dutch baby. This is the first Dutch baby I have made. A Dutch baby, has anybody tried a Dutch baby? No? This is a New England classic. This is like the most New England food I know of. And I was raised in New England, and so this is full of nostalgia for me. Nostalgia, of course, the root of that word means home. And so recently during the pandemic, my friend Karen, who I grew up with and who is also out here, she started making Dutch babies. And I got on Zoom and she taught me how to make this. And it filled my house with the smell of nostalgia. And I posted this photo online saying, I just learned how to make a Dutch baby. And the New Englanders came out of the woodworks. They were like, if you're, what's your recipe for Dutch babies? What are you putting on it? How much butter? Have you tried popovers? This is like bait for New Englanders, basically. And so the point being, like, this drew, in fact, we had a reunion on Zoom based on this image because so many people wanted to connect over Dutch babies that we had a high school reunion on Zoom as a result. So if food connects you to other people, let other people teach you their favorite foods, their favorite recipes, their meaningful, nostalgic recipes, or vice versa. You could teach it to someone who's willing and then photograph that. What we're looking for is connection, in other words. If what you miss about the Lair is those rustic, and that is a euphemism, cabins, charmingly rustic. I love those cabins, by the way. But I have heard people, joke about them, about how rustic. But, you could set up a tent in your backyard or in a nearby woodsy area. Take yourself camping, and take your family camping. If you're in a pod with someone right now, go camping and resurrect that experience, even if it feels theatrical to do so. This is a photo from Nancy of kayaking on Pinecrest Lake, a beloved task. So if that's what you love about the Lair, get ye to a kayak, get ye to a nearest body of water and paddleboard or wade in the water and photograph what that is for you, that sensory experience. One of my favorite memories of the Lair, which I do every year, I probably shouldn't admit this on a recorded video, but I love going skinny dipping at the Lair. That's a very happy memory for me. So every night, I'm a night owl. Around 1 a.m., everybody is sound asleep, and I go and I float on my back in the lake, and I look up at the moon and the trees, and I feel at peace and I hum a little song to myself, and it is my version of joy. So if skinny dipping is the thing that brings you in contact with yourself and nature, let's see that. This is my portrait of my friend John, who has just retired. He is feeling free here, and we all did a solidarity skinny dip in the ocean to celebrate this milestone. So you might hurl yourself naked in the ocean and see what that does for you, and make art off of it. If what you love about the Lair is your contact with nature, this is a photograph of one of the trees from the Lair, you can make contact with nature here, and let's see that. Here's a version of, we always can make contact with nature. We could look like Marion looks with that radiating saintly succulent behind her. Here's a little quote that I like from E.B. White, the author of Charlotte's Web. Would someone like to read this to us? Laura, will you do us the favor?
I arise in the morning torn between a desire to save the world and a desire to savor the world. This makes it hard to plan the day.
Tomorrow I give you the day off from saving the world. You have a reprieve. You have no responsibilities for saving the world tomorrow. You only need to savor it. Because of course, what's the point of saving it if we're not savoring it, right? So tomorrow is savoring day. Yay. And you might choose to use something new, like to savor it at a new level. Like maybe you want to know the names of your favorite plants. You could use PlantSnap to find them out and learn their histories, learn where they're from in the world. If you are having to shelter in place because of fires or various other biblical troubles, you could use a light panel, and I use a light panel, although Holly, you figured out that you can use your own computer screen as a light panel. Very clever. So you don't necessarily need to buy one. You just need to get a light panel from your own screen. And this is something I created when I was sheltering in place just recently on my own light panel. These are just feathers and things from the environment where I was camping. I gave myself 5 days of unplugged time because we've been overly plugged in. And I just plugged back into my own imagination. And this is really just playful. It's fun. And I liked the textures. I liked the feeling of trying to create something from what I could find around me in my environment. So, give yourself time tomorrow to have fun with nature and to play with nature and to use your imagination.
Becky, I love that you went to the woods to unplug, but you took your light table.
That's true. Now, I am, like most photographers, deeply in love with light. So I have to travel with my light table. You understand, right?
Absolutely.
You have to schlep your light table with you when you go to a yurt in the woods. Fortunately, my travel partner also understood. Most people would not be so tolerant. Okay, so on the theme of what we love about the Lair or summer, one of the things I really deeply am seeking in summertime is quietude. And that's one of the things I love about the Lair is the access to quietude, especially at night when the bats are out. I like to go for a walk with no headlamp, no light, and I like to feel the quiet of the bats around me, like often flying so close to me that I can feel their wind on my cheeks. So who would like to read us this quote about the value of quietude? Marion?
On my screen, Becky, it's covered by photos
Oh dear.
Move it around.
of the gallery view.
You can move that. You can.
Okay. All right. All right. Silence is not the absence of something, but the presence of everything. It is the presence of time undisturbed. It can be felt within the chest. Silence nurtures our nature, our human nature, and lets us know who we are. Left with a more receptive mind and a more attuned ear, we become better listeners, not only to nature, but to each other. Silence can be carried like embers from a fire. Silence can be found, and silence can find you. Silence can be lost and also recovered, but silence cannot be imagined. although most people think so. To experience the soul-swelling wonder of silence, you must hear it. Oh my God.
Isn't it lovely?
Mm.
I cherish
Wow.
silence. I'm very sound sensitive. So one of the things I cherish about the Lair is how quiet it is. So for me, I need to take a portrait that creates the level of silence that I'm seeking. In other words, I'm asking the camera and my art practice to give me what I need. And you can ask your art practice to give you what you need. So this is my photograph of the tropical house at the UC Botanical Garden, and it fills me up when I look at it with the same kind of silence that I get at the Lair. So can you take an image or create something, any kind of art, that gives you what you need, that camping or the Lair has given you in the past? Can your art practice give you that? That's the question here. And Marian, you mentioned the value of walking and how that, is so restorative. We're going back to some very simple things here. Would one of you like to read this quote about walking to us? Eli? Or who was that? I heard a voice.
Oh, I'll do it if no one else.
Great, please dig in.
Walk this way. I have met with one or two persons in the course of my life who understood the art of walking, that is, of taking walks, who had a genius, so to speak, for sauntering, which word is beautifully derived from idle people who roved about the country in the Middle Ages and asked charity under the pretense of going à la Sainte-Terre, to the Holy Land, till the children exclaimed, "There goes a Sainte-Terre, a saunterer, a Holy Lander." They who never go to the Holy Land in their walks, as they pretend, are indeed mere idlers and vagabonds. But they who do go there are saunterers in the good sense, such as I mean. Some, however, would derive the word from sans terre, without land or a home, which, therefore, in the good sense, will mean having no particular home, but equally at home everywhere. For this is the secret of successful sauntering. He who sits still in a house all the time may be the greatest vagrant of all. But the saunterer, in the good sense, is no more vagrant than the meandering river, which is all the while sedulously seeking the shortest course to the sea.
And you spoke, Cindy, about how recently, as you've been reflecting on your art practice, your walks have gotten longer. Yes, I encourage you to take a very long walk, sauntering style, to the Holy Land and get what you need from that walk, and bring your your inner artists with you and see what they see on the way. This is a photo I took from the UC Botanical Garden, where the botanical structure seems to be looking like little feet and inviting me to go for a mental santerre. So can you create an image that captures the walking, that Holy Land arrival that walking gives you? For me, that's skipping, right? This is my friend CA. We went, on a vacation recently, unplugged, and I saw she had walked past me. I saw the trails, I saw the light, I saw the trees, I saw that it was beautiful. And I called to her for a very long time and asked her to come back. And it took maybe 45 minutes of me waiting there for her to come back. And when she came back, I asked her, will you skip down the stairs with some joy? And she is, of course, game. And here she is. I hope that you feel the contagious joy of being in nature and what just that contact alone can do for us. So if that's one of the things you love about the Lair, is just walking around Pinecrest, or if you love about summer, just hiking in the high Sierras, let's see what the joy of walking, the joy of simple contact with nature and light. More of the same. If what you love about the Lair is disco bingo, I know for those of you who have not been there, you don't know what disco bingo is. It is a hoot. So you will need, of course, your own, disco bingo situation. I encourage you to be ridiculous in your pursuit of your art practice. You don't have to be serious here. There is nothing serious about the Lair. We get to blow off steam there. I love that you could be dancing next to someone who is a lawyer or a judge, somebody who is actually quite prestigious, but they let their hair down at the Lair and they get to be silly. You get to be silly in your art practice. So if that's what you value about the Lair or your summertime, go ahead and make a silly approach to your art. I know you're good at that, Eli. You know, at the Lair, we get to do, this is one of wonderful photos by Nancy. I love this photo structurally, artistically, but it also shows, I mean, such a fabulous photo. Look, it even has the name Women's Wellness Weekend. Part of what gives us wellness when we go there is trying new things, experimenting with new things. When do we ever get the chance to try archery in our adult lives? It's so fun. So try something new tomorrow. Give yourself permission to try something and be bad at it. That's okay. Right? But try something new. And if that's your love letter to the Lair, that you're able to show, yeah, I tried something new artistically. Let's see that. So that's your first option. Any questions about that? If not, I will show you your other options here, which are briefer than those. So your next option is to take a pandemic selfie. I am no fan of selfies. I would like to see more ussies and less selfies. I think that's how we got ourselves into this trouble here. But I am a fan of absurdity and humor, and that is what we're after here. So, so, you know, you can bring your emotions to your art form, including like just the absurdity of this situation, right? And the layers of grief, like there is a lot of melancholy to go around, and a good antidote for melancholy is absurdity. So this is Robbie Abrams. He's the owner of the Abrams Claghorn Gallery. This was early in the pandemic, his prediction of how he was going to fare 2 weeks in. At that point, we had no idea we were going in for a lot longer than 2 weeks. I can report that he has fared better than this. But you know, a lot of humor there. Here's Ron Chatil, one of our fellow photographers in the Bay Area photography community. He's quite brilliant, as you can see. And this is his portrait of feeling trapped inside a bubble. So what I'm looking for here is a portrait that helps you channel your feelings, but also that we can all relate to. We can all relate to this, right? The seriousness and the humor of it. This is great. This is Rhea Frangitic, who normally she runs a travel agency. Well, her business has been hugely affected, and that's given her some time to dig deeper into the arts. And she's using Snapseed here to write some words on her pandemic self-portrait. The look in her eyes is highly relatable, yes? Here's by Rod Lusich. You know, you can use the plant world. When I say a pandemic self-portrait, it doesn't have to be of you, what you look like. It can be you looking out at the world and taking a self-portrait and relating to that, right? Can anyone relate to this? Yeah, we can relate. Now, if I reverse these left, right, you know, you might feel differently about it. So consider that as well. This is a self-portrait I did. I've done a lot. I'm learning new things. I know for myself, the way that I can revive my spirit is to very consciously and proactively learn new things. I have a sort of lust for ideas, whether that's documentaries, podcasts, neuroscience, you name it. I need ideas, like some people need food. So for me, YouTube is amazing because you can just YouTube anything. You can learn how to fix your car engine with YouTube. I learned how to crochet from a British woman on YouTube during the pandemic, and I made baby blankets to give away. When people are having babies right now in hard circumstances, we can't be there to support them, but we can send them a homemade baby blanket. So consider how you might make art to help yourself get through, but then how you might give it away. This is an aspirational selfie. This is Carol Sonkin. She could feel that she was very worried, very stuck in her mind. Of course, if you listen to the news, that will happen. So she took a bowl from her daughter, which is heart-shaped, and she filled it with lemons, and she was trying here to make a mental lemonade, very deliberately using her art practice to squeeze the love and the joy out of the experience and put that into her own self as a salve. So let's see what you look like these days after the pandemic. And I'm including the twin pandemics of COVID and racism in that. Your last option, should you choose to play any of these games, is to photograph something you've lost during this time and something you found. We've lost a lot. I know we have layers of grief that we're contending with. And some of us have discovered some things about ourselves, about our resilience in this time, or what we value. or rediscovered things we value that we had taken for granted. So let's see that. I felt really lost at the beginning, and I created this image in Snapseed, which I encourage you to play around with. This is a triple exposure about how I was going to navigate uncharted terrain. I never really had created an image like this, and I find that art is reliably a way for me to channel murky feelings I can't otherwise express. So you might use Snapseed to talk about what you're contending with. Really, I think one of the main things we have lost during this time is the illusion of certainty. We've always had uncertainty, but we have heightened uncertainty, and we're seeing conspiracy theories proliferating as a result of that heightened uncertainty. So here I'm showing that what I've lost is my sense, which was always an illusion, of having any access to certainty. We've also lost some sense of social connection. You know, it's hard being isolated. So if you've lost social connection, let's see the loneliness of that. Holly taught me how to use superimpose X, which I'm still no expert at. This is my first kind of rough attempt, but it's a tribute to my friend Jula, who I've taken many philosophical walks with over the years, and we continue to walk and talk at a safe distance with each other and together. If what you've lost is your wanderlust, many of us are world travelers. I know, Nancy, you would probably be in Ethiopia right now. If you've lost access to your travel lust, you know, let's see that in your art. I was supposed to be in Russia right now. I've always wanted to go to Russia. I love the Russian writers, Dostoevsky, Tolstoy. Oh my God, near and dear to my heart. Chekhov, you name them. I really was excited to teach for Cal Discovery's Travel for the first time ever in Russia, but I'm not there. I'm here with you, and I'm delighted to be here with you. So I lost that opportunity, and I found another opportunity to be here with you. And in my artwork, I'm channeling my wanderlust. So you can see I've woven together in my first digital collage here bits and pieces, memorabilia from my travels to Mexico, to Russia. And it's a tribute ultimately to this woman, Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, who is like Leonardo da Vinci, a great intellectual whom I admire. So can you move your wanderlust into your art? Can you travel mentally in your art? And we're finding, one of the things we're finding is we're slowing down. You know, we're spending time with more simple things. So I'm very lucky to spend time with CA's child, Cody, who is an endless source of delight for me. I'm teaching her about plants. Her language skills are skyrocketing, and I'm enjoying all the new words she's learning and teaching me. And she's of course mimicking my language. So she says things like, "Let's go for a walk, shall we?" And coming from a toddler, that is just the cutest thing. Who's going to say no to her? So we went for this little estuary walk, and I animated it using lunapic.com, which is a free online editing tool, which I encourage you to play around with. That is a hoot. And one of the things we're finding in this time is a lot of us are becoming bird watchers and learning the names of the birds in our backyard who we never knew their names before. I live in a building with 22 apartments, and many of us are teachers and artists, and we have the great good luck of having rent control, which is golden handcuffs, as they call it, right? But as a result, we've all been here, as a result of the pandemic, we've all been here together, sheltering in place, and all of us started watching together a mother turkey who used our space to hatch a whole brood of baby turkeys. And all of us watched her together. And we sort of came together in this new way as we were so excited about this new life. And we felt protective of the mother and the babies. And there was this coming together of what time did you see them go where? And did you see that hawk fly over and how nervous they got? It was really exciting to be together and to experience that pleasure together. So maybe you have discovered something as you're sheltering in place, a new way to connect with your neighbors, a new pastime, a new way to connect with nature or the birds in your backyard. Let's see that. Eli, will you read this little quote to us?
Birds of Berkeley, Oliver James. Nectarine. I hope you love birds too. It is economical. It saves going to heaven.
So efficient. So whatever heaven looks like to you, to me, heaven is bird watching. So whatever your version of heaven is, let's see that. I want to remind you in this image, you know, this is a hard image, a stark image I'm sharing with you. This is from Dorothea Lange took this from the Manzanar internment camp during the Japanese internment. This was part of a set of photographs that she took working for the government, but then the government impounded because they were too sympathetic with the people interned. And they have only recently been released in a collection called Impounded. And what she's showing us here is that people in stark conditions will find ways to create beauty. Here this person is in the harshest of conditions. And somehow he has turned this space into a Zen rock garden for reflection and for his own peace. This is the kind of resilience that art can offer us. If he can do this in these shockingly brutal and dehumanizing circumstances, and our hardship is not on this level, we have privileges comparatively. What can we do with our own art practice to lift our own spirits up? This is, you know, raising the bar high for what art can do for us. If you want to read more about this, there's a beautiful piece here on creating beauty in Manzanar. I want to close on gratitude. In my own art practice, I use gratitude as the beginning and the end point. So when I start making art, I say thank you. I thank all the gods. I don't even know how many gods there are, if it's plural or singular or zero. Who cares? I'm going to thank them all anyway. I'm going to make up gods to thank if I have to, and then I will begin my art practice. And at the end, I will say thank you for that time, for that immersion, for that precious connection to being present with being alive now. So one of my favorite books that I do want to foist upon you is The Catalog of Unabashed Gratitude by Ross Gay. He does a 18-page gratitude poem, and he covers some ground. It is no joke. It's not like Thanksgiving where you phone it in, you're like, yeah, I'm thankful for family, can we eat now? It's not like that. No, this will bring you to your knees with gratitude. So I will close with the gratitude for us finding time to be together, and I'll close with his words on gratitude. And he says, thank you, Zinnia and Gooseberry, Rudbeckia and Pawpaw, Ashmead's Kernel, Coxcomb and Scarlet Runner, Feverfew and Lemon Balm. Thank you, Knitbone and Sweetgrass and Sunchoke, and False Indigo, whose petals stammered apart by bumblebees. Good Lord, please give me a minute. And Moonglow and Catkin and Crookneck, and Painted Tongue and Seed Pod and Johnny Jump Up. Thank you, what in us rackets glad, what glad rackets us. So what I want to see from all of you is what glad rackets you. Let's see that in your art form, and let's see that on Saturday together and revel in it. Questions about what you just saw or heard? Your opportunities and challenges here. Leslie, what do you have?
Okay, just in case all else fails, would writing be considered?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. It's wide open. We are so otherwise restricted. I am not putting any restrictions on this. You can do interpretive dance, Leslie. So other questions or comments, thoughts on what you've seen? I love this view of you, Marion. You're so present with us. Any ideas for how you might proceed? Are your inner gears turning? Yes, Laura?
Becky, are we supposed to mail you some images or just show up and show them? Okay.
That's an option too. You could do that. But email me, please, by midnight tomorrow night to thisgrasshopper@gmail.com.
Okay, thanks.
I'll pop that in. With up to 2 images, yes. And those 2, and when I say 2 files, that could be like multiple images in one file. It's okay if there's more than one image, like it's a diptych or triptych or a collage. So the only reason I'm limiting up to 2 so that we all get time to show our work and share what we've been thinking about. So I gave you more options than 2 options in case one of them does not appeal to you. So I'm going to pop in my email where you're going to email me those by midnight-ish tomorrow night to the chat box. And you can CC Kathy on that so that she can see the beauty you're up to. And I will forward them to her if you don't.
Where can we look at the written assignment?
Let's see. I should follow up with an email, shouldn't I? I can send you all. I can send Kathy the PowerPoint and have her send it out to you. Would that help? Or I could just make a summary. I'll email it to you guys. I will follow up with that shortly. But so basically your options are, do you remember? Does anybody make notes what your options are?
Mhm.
Love letters to the Lair, pandemic selfie, and lost and found. And you could emphasize what you lost or what you found or both. That's up to you, right? I don't want to give short shrift to either. So do we have an art game we are up for playing here? Eli, yes, good, okay. So that means tomorrow is our savoring day, where we get to pretend mentally as if we're at the Lair, and we get to savor being here and noticing every little bit about existence, and our connection to it. And then we're gonna make some art off of that and show it to each other on Saturday. Let's see how that goes. So Saturday at 2 p.m., you all have the link. We're gonna show up here and look at each other's art. And what I really want you to test out is this hypothesis. Is it true? Is art a source of resilience for you? You're gonna tell me. Anything else you want to note before?
We're not watching Mitch McConnell, so all is good.
You know, I tell you, that's part of it. Like, I'm not saying that we should put our head in the sands, but I do think that given the way that politics beats down our spirits, we actually actively resuscitate our spirits, and that's what art will do for us. So don't listen to the RNC while you're on your walk. You know, like, you know, listen to Ave Maria or something really uplifting, right? So, and just experiment with starting with thank you and ending with thank you and see if that gets you anywhere. And thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Likewise, thank you. And thank you.
Really
much.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, everyone. See you Saturday at 2 p.m. To be continued. And I will email you tonight. Take care.
See you Saturday.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Seeing you.
Bye.
Bye.